Okay, hey everybody, this is Captain Yeet here for you for another All Grown Up episode review. This is going to be All Grown Up Season 2, Episode 7, titled Izzy or Isn't He? So, let's get into it. The beginning of the episode starts off with the theme song. After the theme song, we go over to Phil, Lil, Chucky, and Tommy talking in front of Chucky's locker, and Chucky's having a really hard time to get into it. So, Chucky's talking about how he's going to run for safety commissioner. They don't really know why he's doing that, but hey, safety his whole thing, so he really wants to do it. The only other candidate is Amelia something, and she's so quiet. Nobody really knows who she is, so he think he got this in the bag. While this is happening, Chucky causes a few little accidents, and then even the other Rugrats will talk about how Chucky is a little accident prone. So I don't really know if that's the best candidate for a safety commissioner. But my thing is, since he is accident prone, he should know how to get around all the different accidents that can happen in the school, right? But I mean, yeah, he is accident prone. And what I mean by that is, you know what accident prone is. But whenever he gets his locker finally open, he hits Phil's face. Lil falls down, spills her drink all over herself. Then whenever Chucky slams his locker, he slams Tommy's thumb into it. Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. I know Tommy was screaming boy in his head. He didn't want to sew it out outside of his body, so he didn't say nothing. Then we go over to Tommy and Dill's parents, and they're waiting inside the car. They have to drive Dill to school because Izzy woke up late and is finally getting dressed. Stu's a little confused because the kids aren't allowed to have sleepovers on school nights, so who is this Izzy? It's Dill's new imaginary friend. And she says that she read that it's really good to encourage kids to have imaginary friends. Now, yeah, it's a little odd for Dill to have one because he's a lot older than normally used to have an imaginary friend. I never had one. I don't really know if I had any friends that had imaginary friends. I know when I was a kid, I played stuff by myself, outside. I used to just play by myself outside. I used to play by myself inside my room. I had my sisters sometimes, but they didn't really want to play with, me that much. My older ones or my younger one eventually once they got a little older. So it was mainly just me. But I never had like an imaginary friend like how Dill is moving, like that he goes in the car and hey, mom, dad, say hi to Izzy, buckle up his seatbelt with nothing there. I never did all that. I never did all that. When I was playing outside, yeah, but outside of that, no. I didn't do all that. Like, Dale gets into the car. And what's really unique about this imaginary friend is it's not a regular person. It's supposed to be an alien imaginary friend. So eventually, they buckle up and they drive to school. There's this one funny moment to where Dee Dee goes, okay, you two buckle up. Stu goes, I'm already buckled in. Not you, Izzy. Oh, yeah. Hey, how you doing, Izzy? Let me go back over to the school. When we go back over to the school, Chucky's showing Phil, Lil, and Tommy some of the posters he made to post around the school for his safety commissioner campaign. And they think they look pretty good. And then while they're talking, Dale walks in with Izzy. They're all a little confused with what's going on at first because, it's an imaginary friend. Dale is talking and there's nobody there. But then they kind of catch on pretty quickly. They catch on so quick to where they start to play along, which is really sweet. Not Dale, sorry. Lil goes, oh, Izzy, thank you. My hair does look really pretty today. Phil goes, what was that, Izzy? Oh, you think her breath smells? I think so too, playing along with the whole Izzy thing. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Lil's hair this week has a light blue strip in it. I guess they're gonna do the whole colors. They're gonna do all colors that ever exist in every episode. Maybe there's one episode where it's like multicolored, or maybe there'll be like two colors in one. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, this week is light blue. I think last week was green. I can't remember the week before. I think it was like yellow or something. I haven't really kept track, but I know this is the first time we've seen light blue. I know that much. I know at least this is the first time we've seen light blue. So after they play along with the whole Izzy thing, eventually everybody leaves the table besides from Chucky, and Chucky says that Dill, having an imaginary friend isn't too bad, but usually there's a certain age to where you shouldn't really have them, so just keep that in mind. Then we cut outside to where we see Tommy, Chucky, I mean not Chucky, sorry, Tommy, Phil, and two other random dudes about to play basketball against Dill. How old is Dill? When Chucky and the rest of them were like what 2 or 3, that's when Dill was like just born. He was a baby. The Rugrats were like toddlers, but Dill was like a baby, like just born not too long ago. So he's like what 3, 4 years behind them. So everyone's like 11 or 12. So Dill should be let's see, 10, like what 8, 7 around that age, I think so. Anyway, we go over to Tommy, Phil, and two other guys about to play basketball against Sean, his random friend, and Dill, but it's uneven. It's 4 against 3. But Dylan, no, it's not. We have Izzy. Okay then. And so they start to play basketball, and Dill's team, I mean, they are dominating. They do confuse the other group a little bit by saying, "Here, Izzy, take the ball," and they do look to the side, but then they just rush right past them. Or they do say, "Izzy, take it," and they just pass it to another person. They're like, "Wow, that's amazing, Izzy, dap me up, woo!" Like hyping up Izzy during the basketball game. And while this is happening, there's these three girls off to the side watching the basketball game with Dill's team dominating, and they're just like talking to each other and getting really hyped up on the whole Izzy thing. I mean, they're like, "Wow, that's amazing. What are you kidding me?" Like, they're getting really, really excited. Like, "Wow, that Izzy is good. He's in the wrong field. I mean, he's gonna be Michael Jordan." Then Chucky comes over and trying to promote his campaign by giving out some flyers, some posters, but they don't really like Chucky doing that. They can't really see anything, so they push Chucky to the side, saying he can't see Izzy. He's like, "What? He lives at the basketball court. Izzy? What?" Chucky, he goes through it this episode. I do feel bad for him a little bit. He goes through it a little bit in this episode. So obviously he's a little upset about the whole Izzy thing. Eventually the game is over. Dill teams win, and everybody is hyped up on Izzy. Some of the girls want to invite Izzy to their birthday party. Well, not birthday party, but to a random party at the end of the week. Sean says he wants to invite Izzy to some sort of party he's having right now, and Dill goes, "Sorry, I can't go. I have to go do yoga." But Izzy wants to go. So he lets Izzy go with him. We go into class. We pan over to a classroom and we see Chucky in there, and this girl hands him a note for a birthday party. Chucky's like, "What? Yeah, I would love to go." But she goes, "No, no, 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 no. To this empty seat next to you, because that's supposed to be Izzy." And then Pangborn catches Chucky reading the note, rips it up, and says that Chucky and Izzy both has detention. So we cut to the lunchroom, and obviously Chucky, he's pretty mad right now. He got caught passing a note to nobody, and he has detention, and so he can't use the detention time to promote his campaign for the safety commissioner. This is so stupid. He got in trouble for something that doesn't exist. And Delph is a little mad because, that's his boy, imaginary friend. And so he's a little mad at Chucky. And Tommy's telling him to cool out because, look, you got this in the bag. I mean, the only other candidate is Amelia. Nobody even knows who she is. Chucky was also pretty upset about the whole Izzy thing because this girl walks over to Tommy to write down his address because Izzy lives with him, and the piece of paper she has is it's a flyer for Chucky's campaign. She's just using it for something to write down the address. I'll be pretty mad too. So while they're talking, Amelia comes over to introduce herself that, "Hey, I'm Amelia. I know a lot of people don't know me because I'm so quiet, but here's my campaign A. And I have A, B, C, D, and I have the whole alphabet for different points on why I should become the safety commissioner. And I go all the way down to Z until I get to Z, and I got to start over." And her design is so funny to me because this basically just kind of looks like prototype Lil. It just looks like maybe when they first started making All Grown Up, we need a design for Lil. And they made this like I mean I'm not sure that they actually did make this. It's just the way she looks. She looks like a prototype Lil. Like, oh yeah, this is Lil. Now let's change a few details. Okay, now we got the Lil design that we all know and love now, but this looks like Lil a tiny bit, like a, a prototype Lil. She even talks super quiet and everything. I mean, they do say that she's so quiet nobody knows, but still, she gives them a book and walks away. And she's giving everybody else a book in the cafeteria. Tommy goes inside the book to see what's inside of it, to what she's promoting, and it has Chucky's medical records. I know this is a cartoon, it's supposed to be funny, but that's just kind of crazy to think about. How the heck did she get the medical records of Chucky? Maybe her mom and dad is like a doctor or something. Even still, you shouldn't give your 11 to 12-year-old medical records to put in a book to promote you being like the commissioner. But still, like, what? The medical records he has, it even has a picture of his X-rays. It has about all the stitches he got throughout the years. Like, that's kind of wild. At first, I was like, why put this in your stuff to promote you? But I guess it's gonna try to show that, see, Chucky's accident prone. He's always hurting himself. He shouldn't be safety commissioner. That's jacked up to do. I mean, you don't really need to do that, but I mean, I guess he's trying to win any kind of ways he can. So that's Amelia. Then we go over to Chucky, and he walks out the cafeteria saying he's going to run a clean campaign. He's not about to, dog on Amelia just to hype himself up. He wants to run a clean campaign. And so he walks into the hallway. When he walks into the hallway towards his locker, this girl is promoting Izzy for safety commissioner. And so he runs over to Dill outside on the little spinning what is it called, a merry-go-round or whatever it's called? Not a merry-go-round. That's not what it's called. But the little spinning thing you have in parks. Not too many parks in my area has this thing, but this thing, you spin it around and you just stay on it. So Dill's on that spinning around so he can throw up, so he doesn't have to go to a math test. It doesn't work. But he's like, Dill, what is your problem? I thought we were friends. Why did you run Izzy for safety commissioner? He's like, what? No, no, I didn't do that. Sean did that. I wouldn't recommend him that because he's not really a safety kind of the guy. Like, so I don't know why he did that, but nothing I can do. And I got to support my friend, so I'm running for Izzy. And yeah, that's kind of jacked up. An imaginary friend running for safety commissioner that could possibly beat him because everybody in school loves Izzy. That's pretty jacked up. We go over to the Java Lava, and Chucky is just feeling horrible about this. Like, I can't believe I might lose to an imaginary friend. And he asks Kimmy and Tommy, that, hey, who are you voting for? Now, if you're just gonna vote for someone else, please lie to me. They said we're gonna vote for you. Hey, and with me, that's 3 votes. That's pretty good because I'm expected to have a low turnout. A low turnout. Well, yeah, I forgot to mention this too. When Amelia first showed up, I was like, huh, it would be kind of sweet for Chucky and her to maybe get together since they're both all about safety and stuff. But then I was like, oh wait, no, there's Nicole. Now he's not officially dating Nicole, but there's something there going on between Nicole and Chucky. So he got Nicole. I almost forgot about her. She barely shows up anymore. She was in like that one random episode with the love. Then in that episode, obviously, whenever he was first crushing on her, we haven't seen her since. Maybe in the background or something, but barely, just barely. So with that being said, Chucky's like, that's pretty good because it's supposed to be a low turnout for me. And Tommy says, well, you have Phil and Lil. Hey, that's true. He walks over to Phil and Lil playing a game on the computer. He goes, hey guys, you voting for me, right? They're like, hold up, we're playing the game. They lose and they turn around and they have little patches for voting for Izzy. And Chucky can't believe it. They didn't really want to vote for Chucky because, like I said before, he's accident prone. And they bring up a few different accidents he had in the past. Chucky's like, what? Well, those were just accidents. And I'm like I said before, I know he's accident prone, but it doesn't mean he's going to make different rules to make those accidents happen on purpose. He goes out of his way to make sure he doesn't do that. He still does it because he's Chucky, but he should know how to make good rules so those stuff doesn't happen, right? But they don't think about it like that. And then Phil, I get what he's trying to say, but he goes, "Look, Chucky, if I were to sign up for like an ice skating tournament, wouldn't you be a good friend and tell me not to sign up for an ice skating tournament because you know I'm bad at ice skating?" I'm like, okay, I get what you're trying to say, but still, like, he should know what to do to not get hurt. But anyway, they're not gonna, yeah, they're gonna vote for Izzy. He took us a vote for Izzy, which is pretty jacked up. We go back over to the cafeteria. People are like, not dogging on Izzy, but they're really hyped up for Izzy, asking Dill if Izzy can come to their bar mitzvah, to their parties, or to their house. And Izzy is so booked up for appointments that Dill has a whole little notebook saying that, today this guy has Izzy, today this person has Izzy. That's how booked up Izzy is, but everybody loving Izzy so much. It's just Izzy's everywhere. Chucky's sick of hearing about Izzy. So he gets up and walks to another table and sits down next to Amelia by accident. He goes, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even notice you there. I get that a lot. Chucky goes, we're kind of in the same boat. In the boat that's kind of sinking about us kind of losing to Izzy. She goes, no, we're not in the same boat at all. I may be quiet, but I'm not stupid. I saw my chances of winning against Izzy, and they were low. So I pulled myself out of the race. And I am going to vote for Izzy. I'm like, what? That's kind of crazy. I mean, I know that, maybe she see the statistics that, even if I do vote for Chucky, an actual person, he's still going to lose. But it's still like, come on, please vote for the real person. Like, Izzy, Chucky just hearing Izzy everywhere. Izzy this, Izzy that, Izzy please. Can I borrow an Izzy? Like this, Chucky's starting to lose his mind. He literally screams out loud in the cafeteria. Everybody turns around and looks at him. And then he stands up on the table saying, like, hey, so I have all you guys' attention. And he goes into his campaign for being safety commissioner. And he also goes into how Izzy isn't real and how he doesn't exist. So he's going to vote for him. Nobody likes that. They all start throwing food at Chucky. They start throwing food at him like crazy. So then Chucky, he goes over to his house. So we fast forward some time and we go over to his house and he's talking to Kami, talking to Tommy and Kimmy, and they're telling him to cool out on the whole Izzy thing. I mean, there's nothing we can really do, only for you to have like a really good campaign up until like, you can have until, up, sorry, I'm stuttering. You just have a good campaign up until you have to, do your speaks to see if you can become safety commissioner. And then Phil and Lil come over saying that they're still voting for Izzy, but they just came over to Chucky's house just for moral support. I said this before, but I do like how all the Rugrats they live on the same streets, that's neighborhood. Because in like the next scene or two, we see that where Chucky's house is, Tommy's house is only like 3 or 4 houses down, and then Phil and Lil is like only like 4 or 5 houses down that way. So that's really sweet that they all live pretty close to each other. I don't know where Angelica lives. I don't know if she's like in the same neighborhood or if she's like a couple of houses down like everybody else. But I do like that. So after they say they came here for moral support, Chaz comes out and tells Chucky that hey, these chores aren't gonna do themselves. And so Chucky gets up, gets on the lawnmower. Now he has a riding lawnmower. I never had one of those. I wish I did, but I have a push one. And Tommy's like, "Whoa, Chucky, you know how to ride one of the things?" He goes, "Of course I do. It's like a bike with a wheel and an engine." And just like Chucky knows how Chucky do, he's an accident prone. So he starts to wild out on the lawnmower. He can't control it. He's going down from house to house to house. And I'm like, if Chucky never did this before, why are you making him do this without any training? You know what I'm saying? Because it seems like since Chucky is really new to this riding lawnmower, why is this his first time without any training or anything? That's kind of stupid. That's really kind of stupid. That reminds me of the time. Oh, poop. Okay, I don't want to waste too much time talking about this story, but it's not about a lawnmower, but it's about a four wheeler. But I'll tell you guys the story at the end of the episode. I'll tell you the story at the end of the episode. But I didn't hurt myself, thank good. Well, I kind of did, but I'll tell you the story at the end of the episode. But yeah, I remember the time about the first time I ever rode a four wheeler. It's really funny when I think about it. So let me continue. So like I said, Chucky, he's wilding out on the lawnmower. He can't control it. He goes down like 4 or 5 houses until he gets over to Tommy's house. And when he gets there, Dill and Izzy are laying down on some towels, like getting some sunbathing. And Dill goes, Chucky walks out. Chucky's able to ram into the bushes, but when he does that, he rams over the towel that Izzy is on. Now everybody runs down the street and they all look really sad and concerned. And Chucky's a little confused because he understands that he rammed into some of the flowers on the lawn. I almost forgot the word on the lawn. But other than that, the flowers are good. So what's the problem? He technically kind of, killed Izzy. So everybody's really upset about that. Well, not everybody, specifically Dale, obviously, because that was his imaginary friend. He's tearing up, and then he runs inside crying. Tommy tells Phil and Lil to cool out because they start spazzing at Chucky. I mean, they really start going, "Hey, Chucky, what is your problem? You just killed him." Tommy's like, "Whoa." Like y'all chill out for a second. It was an accident, and it is an imaginary friend. Like, he just ran over a dog or something. Like, cool out. But Tommy runs inside to check on Dale because that is a little brother and he is crying. And Kimmy, she wasn't really in the whole Izzy hype, but in this one moment, she does go, "I can't believe you, Chucky. I need some time alone." I'm like, what? What are you crying about? Like, what? It makes no sense. And so they all go their separate ways. We've cut over to Chucky inside of his house talking to Chaz, and he's doing a puzzle, and he doesn't understand why everybody's so mad at him. He didn't really do anything. Izzy didn't exist. All he did was kind of mess up a towel. And he goes, "Chucky, you had an imaginary friend once." He goes, "Yeah, but I was a baby, but yeah, but it doesn't really matter what age you are. He thinks that he's real, just how you thought that imaginary friend was real too. So obviously he's going to be sad." And Chucky realized, like, okay, maybe I should go apologize to Deal for what I did. And then Chucky's dad, Chaz, like I said, was doing a puzzle. He kind of finishes the puzzle and said this is going on the wall, but the puzzle is of a boat, and he doesn't even finish part of the puzzle. And he goes, "This puzzle looks good. It's going on the wall. Some of the pieces are turned around, some of them are jammed in." He was not good at doing a puzzle. We go over to Tommy's house. Tommy, Stu, and Lou are watching baseball. Dee Dee comes over and they go, "Hey, well, no, sorry, I said Tommy, Stu, and Lou. Dale, Stu, and Tommy all watching baseball. Dee Dee comes over. She goes, "How many baseball games are you guys gonna watch?" Izzy loved baseball, so Stu goes, "I kind of do miss the little imaginary alien guy." And then there's a doorbell. I mean, there's a doorbell ring. Dee Dee goes to open the door, and it's Chucky. And I love this moment right here. When she opens the door and sees that it's Chucky, she goes, "Oh, you don't have to ring the doorbell." I thought that was sweet because, she's been seeing Chucky since he was a baby. He's part of the family. He's like, "You don't have to ring the doorbell. You can just come in." He goes, "Yeah, I know. But in light of certain circumstances, I think I need to." So whenever he walks in to apologize to Dylan about the whole Izzy situation, not every kid at school, but a lot of kids at school like coming over and giving and giving Dee Dee some macaroni and cheese, Izzy's favorite food. Now, Dill says that he's not mad at Chucky. He understands that he was somewhat of an imaginary friend, and I think everybody at school is starting to somewhat tone down on the whole Izzy hype. But when Chucky turns around, and looks at the table behind him, the macaroni and cheese is like piling up. It's like a whole tower of macaroni and cheese plates of people bringing it over, crying about Izzy being dead. Like what? like what? That is crazy. Sorry about that. I hit my camera a bit harder and it started to wiggle like crazy. But yeah, Chucky's like, I don't know if everyone's, down on the Izzy hype, but he does appreciate, him not being mad at him and saying it's all good. So then after that, we come over to school, and Tommy and Chucky are walking around, and everybody is dogging on Chucky. Like, I can't believe he did that. You Izzy killer. Like, just spazzing at him. And Amelia runs up saying, hey, you killed Izzy on purpose just so you could win the election because he already dropped out. He goes, no, I swear I did it. It was an accident. You know what? You lost all credibility for being a safety commissioner. Tommy goes, you know what? I think I liked you better when you were quiet. I'm like, yeah, stand 10 toes. Goat Tommy. Tom Gold. Yeah, you stand up for your boy. He's like, come on, Chucky, let's go to the side. Pangborn grabs a microphone and starts going, how we should have a moment of silence for Izzy. This whole school is tore up for Izzy dying. Like, what? This is so ridiculous. I know it's a cartoon. It's supposed to be haha funny, but this is so ridiculous. So when we walk into the hallway with Tommy and Chucky, we see of all of Chucky's posters are ripped off the wall. And Tommy says, Chucky, it's okay. We can put up more posters after lunch. Chucky goes, you know what? There's no need. Walks over to his locker and puts himself inside of it. He goes, what's the matter? Since there's nobody running, you could easily win. Chucky goes, no. Izzy is still technically on the board to vote for. And I'm just going to drop out the race because I really don't want the embarrassment of me losing to an imaginary friend that isn't even alive anymore. And he closes the locker with him inside of it. That is also funny. So actually, I'm going to tell both my stories with the locker. I have a locker story and also a formula story at the end of this episode. but what's really funny about this moment is that whenever Chucky slams the locker door to like shut himself inside, which is kind of crazy because he kind of locked himself in there, but Tommy he jumps back a tiny bit, not like a huge like he doesn't like jump like 10 feet back, but he got his finger slammed at the beginning of the episode. Obviously, he's a little scared, so he's like, oh, so he's he pulled himself back a tiny bit. We go outside and we see, oh no, I clicked off the episode by accident. Hey, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to pause the video to get back on the episode. I clicked out of it by accident. So we cut outside and we see Phil and Tommy kicking a ball back and forth, and they keep saying that here's the plan. We're going to pretend that there's a new Izzy to get the heat off Chucky, and it's going to be Izzy's cousin. Not Chongo, Pongo. So Tommy kicks the ball over to Phil. Phil headbutts it into the air. He goes, hey, Izzy's cousin, Pongo, go catch it. Everybody's kind of looking at them really mad. Sean comes over saying, hey guys, you should be ashamed of yourself. This is really sad. You guys are doing the same thing that my dad does to where whenever I lose a goldfish, he buys me another one the exact same day. Like I didn't just lose a goldfish, like I'm not dumb. They know what everybody knows what they're doing, and it's not working. So then we go over to the gym and we see what's his name, Dill, climbing on a rock wall, and then Tommy has to climb on the rock wall too to get closer to Dill because Dill can't hear him when he's on the ground. And Tommy's having a really hard time climbing up this rock wall. I mean, he is sweating, he is sweating bullets. He's having a super hard time climbing up this junk. Anyway, with him climbing up the rock wall, he's telling Dill that he needs to take the heat off of Chucky with the whole Izzy thing by telling everybody that Izzy isn't actually real. He doesn't really want to do that, but he goes, come on, Chucky has been your real life blood and flesh friend for a long time. He'll do anything for you, and you need to do this for him. And eventually, while he's talking, he falls down off the rock wall right onto not the pavement, but the little cushion. And after he does that, Dill starts to think to himself. He's like, maybe. And then we go into the auditorium to where Pangborn is doing a little ceremony. he's he's doing a ceremony for Izzy. And after the ceremony, Dill gets up talking about how Izzy. Well, at first he was gonna go into like a really sad spiel about how he's dead, but then he goes into how basically Izzy was just a figment of his imagination. He isn't actually real. And while he's saying this, some of the girls and people in the audience are saying, "Well, yeah, we already knew that. We just kind of like to have the fun of the imaginary friend." But then, like, so why were y'all just dogging on Chucky and going crazy for? I guess just to play along. That's not cool. I mean, no sense. This one kid takes it seriously though. He runs out of the auditorium crying. He goes, it hurts like nails," after he says he's an imaginary friend. But then Dale does recommend Chucky for safety commissioner. After the whole speaks about that, everyone gets up and walks out the auditorium. Chucky goes over to Dale, thanks him for, they're really good friends now. I mean, they've been good friends, but he like, thanks you, man. And he also does say that Izzy is still around. He just had some time to heal up, and he's actually in the audience, sitting in the way back. They both laugh about it and they walk out. But the camera pans on one singular chair. Like I said, all the other chairs are empty because everybody walked out the auditorium besides from Chucky and Dill. And these are the kind of chairs to where you have to pull the seat down to sit down. As soon as you get up, they fold up. But this one seat is folded down as somebody is sitting in it. Like somebody should be sitting in this thing. Alluding that he's actually real. Like he's actually kind of real, which is spooky. They do this kind of stuff in All Grown Up sometimes, and then that's the end of the episode. Hey, we're still at 20 minutes. That's pretty good. Usually I'm like 30, almost 40 minutes. That's really good. So okay, I'm gonna pause the video and go to like random YouTube video, some gameplay. I'm gonna tell the four-wheeler story and also the locker story. So if you guys want to hear that, I guess stay around because I'm gonna tell the two stories. Okay, I'm back. This video was made by HD Playground. This is of all the boss fights in Sonic Unleashed, no damage. This is made by HD Playground. This is made by. Sorry, I said it twice already, but I'm gonna put the video link in the pinned comment. This is just not my gameplay. This is made by HD Playground. I just want to make sure I shout out the creators. I'm not stealing his content or hers. This is not mine. I'll put the video link in the comments. This is HD Playground of all the boss fights in Sonic Unleashed. So the four-wheeler. No, actually, I guess I'll start with the locker story. The locker story is that as you know, as a kid, I went to like this summer camp during the YMCA, and whenever I went there, we used to have lock-ins, which is pretty cool. Like we literally got to sleep inside the YMCA, and we got to play manhunt throughout all the YMCA. Whenever like some people are it, and they have to like chase us around the whole building. Like, that was cool. That was really cool. One time we were playing this, I had this friend. I forgot his name. It's been so long since I've seen him. I haven't seen him since the YMCA stuff. I didn't have a phone back then, so we didn't get to have contact information. But I guess I'll call him Cody. So me and Cody were like running around and hiding from like all the supervisors that were and we went into the locker room where the pool was. So we went in the locker room. He says, "Hey, I know a good spot to hide. Let's hide in the locker." I was kind of concerned because often we closed the locker, it won't lock. But there was this one locker to where if you close it, it wouldn't lock because it didn't have a lock up there. I guess it was broken. He said, "Close me in here." Now the only way to get him out of there was for me to open the door, but I knew he was in there, so I closed him in there. He was able to fit. I didn't really feel comfortable being in a locker, so I was just running around. Now I closed them in there. I ran away. Maybe like 30 minutes to an hour later, the game's over. We all go back to the place we're sleeping at. We're watching TV. We're no, not TV. We're watching a movie. We're having pizza and food. And I forgot Cody. One of the counselors came over to me because me and Cody will always chill together. We're always around each other. So they're like, "Hey, Captain Yeet, where's Cody?" I'm like, "Cody? Oh no, he's still in the locker." Like an hour later, I completely forgot about him. We had to run downstairs and let him out. When we let him out, he was like, "Yo, we still playing?" That was funny. When I think about that, is so funny. He was in there for like an hour plus. So after that, let's tell the four-wheeler story. Right when the fire happened at my old house, me and my family had to live in a hotel for a little while before we got this house. We were living in a hotel. This dude from my church wanted me to help him with some gardening because he does like odd jobs like that, like gardening or like fixing some places up. There's this like little kindergarten school where like the front yard was just a mess. It needed to be mowed. It needed to have like all the sticks taken out, like a bunch of like random yard work. So he wanted me to help him out. And he'll pay me. There was this really dead old tree off to the side. He said, "Hey, Captain Yeet, wrap a chain around it and wrap a chain around one end of the chain wrap around the tree, the other end of the chain wrap around the four-wheeler and the back, and then just zoom off to yank the tree out." Now in my mind, I never rode a four-wheeler before. I'm assuming that I can put the key in, rev it up, and then rev and then I go. But I never drove a four-wheeler before, so I didn't want to mess up his stuff. So I asked him, "Hey, how do you drive a four-wheeler?" And he got mad at me. He goes, "Do you not know how to drive a four-wheeler?" I said, no, I mean, I'm assuming I know the basics how to do it, but just in case, I don't, tell me how because I don't know how. He goes, how do you do yard work at your own house and you don't drive a four wheeler? Now, he had a really big lawn to where he needed one. My old house, even this house now, our lawns aren't that big to where we need a four wheeler. So, like, that's basically what I said. Like, I do yard work, but our lawns aren't that big. Like, we don't need a four wheeler to do that. So, like, so how do you drive this four wheeler? And he got super mad at me. He told me what to do. When I revved it up and drove, the tree didn't come out like he was saying. It like kind of jerked my body back on the four wheeler, and it kind of hurt my stomach. And that whole experience, it just sucked. Like I remember one time there were these thorn bushes, and he had these gloves with the huge metal plates up there, and he was just yanking the thorns out. He gave me some gloves with like this wiring metal, but it wasn't really that like thick, and he was like, grabbing the thorns, yanking them. He told me to do that. I was like doing it carefully, and he was like, go hurry up and just grab it. So I did, and a few thorns got in my hand. I'm like, ripping the thorns out of my hand, taking my time because it hurts. He goes, "What are you doing, man?" I'm like, "There's thorns in my hand. My gloves aren't as good as yours." He just stuff like that kept happening, and just spazzing at me. But yeah, that was like the first time I rode a four wheeler. I rode another one maybe a few years after that at one of my cousin's houses, and it was a bitter experience. I knew kind of what to do. And my cousin also sold because it's been a while. He had like this huge open field next to his house. We were just driving around that huge open field. It was pretty fun. It was pretty fun riding the four wheeler that second time. But the first time, man, that junk sucked. That junk sucked a lot driving it like that. Those are the two stories that I have for the locker story and also the four wheeler story. So I guess I'm gonna pause the video really quickly here, and then I'm gonna go back to all grown up to show a scene, and then we'll be done. Okay, so let me pause this really quickly. All right, like, share, subscribe. I'll see you all later. Thank you all for watching. I think a lot of you human beings, and I hope you all have a God bless day. All right, bye.